Welcome to Empowered by Iron, the podcast for female strength athletes by female strength athletes. We are your hosts, Dr. Kristen Lander from Fiercely Fueled Nutrition Coaching and Mary Morton, PhD candidate and weightlifter. Together, we are Empowered by Iron. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Empowered by Iron. This week, we have a treat for you. We have the wonderful women from Smart Fit Girls. If you haven't heard about them, stop this podcast right now. Go check out their Instagram. Go check out their website. They're doing some amazing things for the fitness industry. And I could talk about them for a long time, but we are going to let them share their stories. We have Kellie Walters. Hi, Kellie.
Hello.
And Chrissy Chard on today.
Hi there.
Hello, ladies. Okay, so there's just so much, I guess, to get into here with Smart Fit Girls. Let's start with a brief description. Who or what is Smart Fit Girls? What is your mission? And how did you get started?
Go ahead.
Okay. Go for it.
We're like, who? So Smart Fit Girls is a nonprofit organization that the primary aim is to improve young girls' body image, self-esteem, their physical activity enjoyment, pretty much their physical and emotional health in many capacities. Smart Fit Girls started in 2013, and it started as a traditional after-school program. And in the last 5 years, we have grown substantially. We actually have a huge presence right now in Colorado, and that's a lot to do with how hard Chrissy Chard has been working on it. And so by grown, I mean not just in how many girls are going through the program, but the type of the way the program is being implemented. And that includes an alternative physical education program in Denver, which is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. As well as right now, Chrissy is in the midst of week 1 of a summer camp. We piloted that last year, and now we're doing 3 weeks in a row.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
And Chrissy is just doing it.
And what are the ages of the girls that are going through the camp?
So the girls who go through our program are middle school girls. So that is usually 6th to 8th grade, anywhere from probably 10. Sometimes we get young 9 to we've actually had 15-year-olds who are in 8th grade still. So it's kind of dependent on the school. But really, as far as our content of Smart Fit Girls, half of the program is specifically geared to improve body image and self-esteem. So we have these activities that we have studied empirically, so that was part of my dissertation, that have been shown to improve body image and self-esteem and be really impactful. And then these other activities are physical activities, and they are primarily resistance training. So we teach girls how to lift weights and what it means to be a strong woman.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So you said it's a program. So Smart Fit Girls itself is a program, or is it a community that also has these programs?
Yeah, so it is a program, meaning people come to us and want to start our program at various different sites. And we're having a hard time keeping up with how many people want to implement our program, which is a good problem to have. That's great. Yeah. But I think it also is a community in many ways. And I think with our social media presence growing, we're starting to build that community. And it's not just a community for adult women like us. Like a lot of the people on our Instagram page are like our age. We're trying to really be intentional about building it for middle school girls as well, to have an online platform that is encouraging for them to be a Smart Fit Girl.
And both of you received your PhDs, or earned, I should say. Earned, because it is the process. Yeah. I'm in the point of writing my PhD now, like my whole thesis. And let me tell you, you guys are heroes. So you both, can we hear a little bit about, because Smart Fit Girls obviously manifested in both of you from something in your life. So can we hear what brought you to here? So let's start with Chrissy, since we haven't heard much from Chrissy.
Yeah. So what brought us to starting Smart Fit Girls? Is that?
Yeah. Like what is the backstory? You didn't just have a, perfect relationship with yourself, right? And then this is great. Let's do this.
Yeah. I think in terms of my entry into the world of lifting, I feel like I sort of had two two entry points. And the first was sort of toward the end of college, and it was Oxygen magazine workouts and, you know, sort of trying to like look a certain way, right? And then that led to Kellie and I doing a physique type competition. And like many women who go through that experience afterward, I really struggled to find the balance with food, with exercise, with how my body looked. And so it was sort of at that point that I consider sort of my second entry into lifting, and that period of time, it was a hard point in my life, right? Because I was struggling as much as I've ever struggled from disordered eating, right? And trying again to find that balance and trying to figure out why am I lifting and, you know, what's sort of the purpose. And that's when I found powerlifting. And, you know, powerlifting is such a beautiful metaphor for life, right? Because it's like you're standing there trying to pick up the bar with this weight in your hands, right? Or you're trying to stand up with this weight on your back. And it's just this beautiful metaphor for life and the challenges that you face. And so at that point, I sort of found powerlifting, found my physical strength. And I truly, truly believe that it was finding that physical strength that really allowed me to sort of deal with the disordered eating and some of the other things that I was struggling with, to finally find that good balance of focusing on what my body could do and not what it looked like. Right. And it was sort of at that same time after we went through the competition that we came up with the idea for the program. At the time we had been running, we had created a women's health coaching company called SmartFit Chicks, which still exists today. Because of everything that Kellie is doing to keep that organization going. But we had been working with adult women, and as you know, all of us women struggle in some way or another with these challenges. And we sort of had this aha moment. One day we were warming up to go lift together like we did, every day. And we're like, why are we waiting until we're adults to do this? Why aren't we thinking about girls, what's out there for girls, right? And so because we're researchers, we dig into the literature, right? And like, what's out there? What are other people doing? And there was very little. There are some organizations out there that are doing similar work, but nobody's doing it when it comes to strength training. And as you know, right, strength training is such an empowering form of physical activity. And that's sort of where the idea for the program came out.
I can't tell you how many times, now that I'm an adult, looking back when I was a young girl, had someone, for the love of God, when I was doing an hour of cardio at the gym, been like, hey, why don't you try this? Or had someone in my school taking me seriously and tried to teach me how to lift weights. My life would have been so much different. I'm not angry about it, but I'm kind of angry about it.
Yeah, but I was introduced to lifting in high school, but everything was like physique based and like trying to stay small, and like you don't want big muscles, and girls aren't supposed to lift heavy, and then I think like on the nutritional side of it was really bad. Like just go do all the sports, but don't ever eat any food because you're going to get fat. Like so. I think it has to be both, right? I love that you guys are addressing the the self-esteem issues for girls. I think that is amazing.
Yeah, and I think where we're going and where we realize we haven't gone so far and where we're going now is understanding that the limited stuff that's out there for middle school girls is very much geared towards white girls. And I think that's something that Chrissy has really been influential, at least for me, and like teaching me. And so we're part of our research efforts and where we're going with SmartFit Girls is recognizing that notably the girls who need it the most are the ones who we haven't even gotten to program the most. And so we're implementing programs that are trying to understand our curriculum better and maybe change our curriculum in ways that will be more influential for girls of different races, cultures, LGBTQ statuses, basically being as inclusive as possible.
Yeah. A lot of these things you find that the people who most desperately need it are the ones who can least afford it or it's least accessible, which is super unfortunate. But I'm so happy that, people are moving towards this equilibrium. What about you, Kellie? What brought you to SmartFit chicks / girls?
My mom. So I grew up I was born in 1986. I grew up with going to the gym, and my mom was a group fitness instructor, and I sit in the corner as she taught her high-low step aerobics and, outfits, the whole thing. And so I grew up with a mom who was very into health and fitness. So I knew that was always going to be important to me. I was an athlete, so you're kind of the same trajectory. Went to college, chose kinesiology because I figured, hey, that's a major, and I love that. Yeah. And then it really, I think when I was a master's student, Chrissy and I had a similar practicum where we were able to be wellness coaches in the community. And that was the very first time my mind really started to shift from prescriptive-based health to realizing that humans they don't typically do well under prescription, and that we're so complex. And that then once we started to SmartFit Chicks and started working with adults, same thing with Chrissy, we realized that we are intervening late. It's harder to change. Right. So yeah, I think Chrissy actually was the first one who really lifted with me too. Before her, I could barely do push-ups, which is really quite sad now that I'm actually training for my first powerlifting meet. Chrissy's done a lot before, but I'm training right now. So now the idea that I couldn't even push my body weight up and down was that's so fun for me. It's not sad if you're there and you're listening to this right now, you'll get there, keep doing it. Right.
Yeah. So, well, it's empowering. It's exactly like Chrissy said. It is the best metaphor for life.
Yeah.
It is. I'm really impressed, I have to say. So I'm going to make this about me for a second.
Great.
I was lifting. I'm a PhD student at Clemson, which is where you were, Kellie.
Yes.
And I was lifting in the testosterone-filled pit. Fike. Testosterone-filled pit where the ratio is 25-1, maybe half,
Yeah.
It's horrible. And I was lifting heavy, and this chick comes out of nowhere. And oh my gosh, this is so inspiring that I see another woman lifting heavy. And I thought, this is the weirdest thing that's happened to me today. Mind you, I'm in the bouts of struggling with eating disorders, trying to lift heavy, trying to fuel myself. What does that mean? And she hands me this card and this printout. And I was like, who is this chick, first of all? I was just trying to lift. And then I went home and it was you, Kellie. I was like, holy shit. So when I saw SmartFit girls start to get traction on Instagram, I was like, Jesus Christ, I know that girl. And I started looking up everything and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. If I hadn't been so focused on, my own demons at that point, I would have jumped on, but it was.
No, I remember seeing you and I was like, same thing. I'm like, there's no girls down here. And I saw you lifting. I was like, that girl's lifting heavy. This is so cool. I have this extra binder. I'm just going to go say hello.
I was still at the point trying to hide my body and so uncomfortable. Anyway, so
yeah, it's a journey.
It is such a journey.
Yeah. The best thing is to surround yourself with people who have like-minded goals and thoughts and aspirations for life. And that's how we are here today.
Exactly. That's why we wanted to, that's one of the reasons we wanted to have you on. So you're doing these programs for over the summer for girls, and you have some other events coming up, right? Can you tell us some about these events and when are they? What are they? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So in September, we have our very first ever, it's called Unite for Strength, a women and girls empowerlifting event. And I'm really proud of that word, empowerlifting, because as Kellie knows,
I love it.
I am not creative at all. That's not my strong suit. And one day it came to me and I was so excited to share it with Kellie.
I saw it on Instagram not long ago and I was like, yo, why didn't we think of that? It's very creative. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. I'm going to take credit for that one.
You should. She also named SmartFit Girls. She never takes credit for that. But she was the one who's like, we should start SmartFit Girls. Yes.
Love it.
Everything we do is we, right? As you know.
Yes.
Unless it's, yeah. So September 21st and 22nd, it's a 2-day event. Friday night, we have an incredible lineup of speakers coming to talk about lots of different things. So Shannon, so the event in general is a partnership with Smart Fit Girls and Women's Strength Coalition. So Shannon, and so she's speaking on Friday night about women and our role in activism. And then Janae Kroc is coming, and she's going to be speaking about sort of, owning your own strength and confidence and being comfortable in your own skin. And then our headline speaker is Chrissy King, and she's coming to talk about, what women's empowerment really means, right? And this idea that it can't be, just us white women working on our own confidence and self-esteem, right? Because that does nothing for bringing all women together. And so we're super excited to have her there. We've got some other speakers coming. We've got a panel that's going to happen. And then Saturday, we have a full powerlifting meet that's going to take place. So anyone who identifies as a woman or girl or genderqueer, gender non-binary is welcome to compete. And at the same time that the meet is going on, we have a whole host of other activities that are reflective of what we do in our Smart Fit Girls curriculum. So we'll have some of our Smart Fit Girls there leading workouts, leading body image activities, leading some, positive affirmations kinds of things, all at the same time. So that's the event. We're super excited about it.
Where is this taking place?
So Friday night is happening at Colorado State University in the theater there. We're very excited about the space. And then Saturday is at a gym in Windsor, technically. It's a few minutes outside of Fort Collins. So it's all sort of in the Fort Collins area.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you go. I had a location question, but we're good.
Yeah. No, I was going to just take this moment to shout out. We are still looking for people who are interested in sponsoring or having vendors for our event. One of our sponsors is bodybuilding.com. So
Dang.
Awesome. It's pretty great. Yeah. So, but just because you hear that doesn't mean that we, this is, it's the first time we're putting on this event, but being a nonprofit, in order to get this program out to girls who need it, we need funds. And our program has been built solely on volunteerism. We have two people who've been paid, and it's a very little amount. The rest of us have been volunteering, and that's probably how we'll continue to go. But in order to kind of keep the program growing and have more girls get access to the program, every little bit helps. So if you're hearing this anywhere and you believe in the mission of what we do and in improving young girls' lives, just please contact us.
So how did you guys decide to make it a nonprofit? Because obviously this is something you could definitely profit off of, but what was the deciding factor there? Because I think that speaks huge to your mission.
Yeah. So Chrissy and I actually went back and forth for probably, 6 months while we were going through the process, because to become a nonprofit is not easy. There's a lot of work. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And we had a for-profit, right? So we understood at least some of the basics of what it means to be an LLC.
And that was Smart Fit Chicks, right?
And that's Smart Fit Chicks. Yeah. And that still exists, right? That's a separate entity. But really what it came down to is, what are we trying to do with this organization? What's the sole purpose? And truly the sole purpose is to have young girls learn to love themselves. And they're doing that through finding their strength. They're doing that through learning not to talk negatively about themselves. They're doing that through learning how to have a good relationship with food. There's a lot of different ways in which we do that. And the research on why that's important is, I can give you my dissertation. It's out there. It's, So there's a plethora of research of why young girls, specifically young girls of color, are health disparate population. And that is when we sat down, we said, what are we trying to do with this organization? It wasn't to make money, because we've been asked that before. Why'd you choose the nonprofit route? It clearly has never been about making money. It's Chrissy and I have full-time jobs, and we do this on the side. Chrissy has 2 kids too. I don't know how she does that.
Oh my God.
With Kellie's help.
So no, truthfully, Smart Fit Girls has been built on the efforts of so many wonderful people. Many of them women, but I'd like to say also our supportive family members, who are a lot of men too. So we wouldn't be here without them.
I had a really good question as you were talking, and then I just got lost in what you were saying. It had to do with, whatever.
It's probably because I was talking for so long. I've been known to do that.
No, I like you try to focus on what you're saying, and then you're like, oh, but I have a really good thing to ask. So you are a professor, is that correct?
We both are, yeah. Two different institutions.
Both are professors. So can you tell us your titles and like, do you have ongoing research, both of you? So that, like, tell us more.
So I am an assistant professor with the Colorado School of Public Health. So all of the students that I serve are master's students who are working on their master's in public health. And so I am primarily affiliated with the community and behavioral health concentration or department. And then as far as the research goes, most of it is in the realm of SmartFit Girls. And my greatest interest is in how we adapt programs, and specifically our program, to be more culturally responsive. And then how we take sort of a social justice approach to the programming that we're doing and how we work with young people.
Yeah. And a lot of my, for my dissertation, it was the relationship between physical and emotional health in adult women and girls. And so part of the research we have with SmartFit Girls is on that mother-daughter relationship. This summer, getting some of that published, hopefully. So yeah, right. So that's a piece of my research. Absolutely, is this adolescent girls piece with SmartFit Girls. But as I've started this year, I was looking the other day, I think I have 10 different research projects going on right now. And that ranges from kind of the psychosocial aspects of physical activity. So we're doing a really cool study on body image in the fitness industry and how people who are in the fitness industry, their own personal body image and or their implicit biases or anti-fat biases that they have influence their relationship with their clients and how that works. We also have a study going on with different fitness equipment. Since I'm in the kinesiology department, we get different pieces of equipment. We study how well that equipment works. And then I'd say the other population I primarily work with is older adults. So we have a more of a public healthy type research project happening where we're going to be working with older adults and having them go into the community and tell us different areas that they want to ambulate or walk so that we can increase their community connectivity. So I have a lot of stuff going on, but primarily my research love is anything pertaining to adolescent young girls' health.
You guys are busy. You're making me nervous.
Yeah,
I remembered my question. So with this teaching young girls how to love themselves and strength training and all that, what aspects or how much of this is nutrition?
So we started, and right now we have a couple nutrition lessons that are part of our curriculum. They're teaching macronutrients, micronutrients, teaching the MyPlate approach. Our philosophy is balance, variety, and moderation. As you know, every person you talk to has their own opinions about food and their own relationship with food, and that shows up very differently for everybody. The other thing that we've done is we've worked with some master's students in the nutrition department here at Colorado State, and they have helped develop some intuitive eating based lessons for us. So they're not currently part of our standard curriculum, but we're super excited to be testing them for the first time this summer because intuitive eating fits so beautifully with our whole approach and the whole SmartFit Girls program in general.
Oh, I really love that. I love that. Teaching them to eat. Eating is good.
Learning that food is fuel for their activities and that it can actually help them love themselves more, as opposed to looking at food in terms of like what it's doing to their bodies in ways that they don't like, which
good and bad.
Right. I think for me as an athlete when I was young was the nutrition side of things was like food's your enemy. And I the stuff that we are teaching to people now through a course that we are offering is like, I love doing this work so much because I think about like, I just wish I knew this information when I was younger. And so many of the students that we've taught and so many of my nutrition clients, I'll say that, like, why didn't anyone teach me this when I was young? And so I love you guys are doing that. And that's amazing.
And it's hard. It's so hard to intervene when we're older, because we've, depending on your age, you've had X number of years down this path. And even though, like, we all know that certain things like disordered eating, we know that it's not good. We know that it's not good for us, but it's all we've known. All we've known is to binge and then restrict and clean eat and then go off the path. So starting girls off on the right track is phenomenal. I just applaud you. It's so amazing.
Well, I like that you guys mentioned that like balance is something that's really important, because I think that it's really easy for people to learn about nutrition and about healthy eating and then like take it way too far to the extreme of just trying to be like orthorexia, trying to be like only eating superfoods and, all of this. I think people take, you have to have a balanced approach. Otherwise it can really lead to some troubles. And so I think that is so awesome that you guys are teaching girls that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi friends, my name is Maria Rodriguez. I am the founder of Fear Her Fight Athletics, and I am putting on a Women's Strength Summit. It's an event in Lakewood, which is in Tacoma, Washington. It's on July 15th. It is on a Sunday. It's from 8:30 in the morning to 5 p.m. And all women are invited. Doesn't matter if you consider yourself an athlete or not. I am inviting 8 speakers, and one of them is the strongest woman in the world. Her name is Cece Holcomb, if you are sleeping under a rock. I have many prizes available for our attendees. There's going to be just a day of community, collaboration, movement. I have Mallory Rowan, who's one of the co-founders of LVD. I have Taylor Gage, who is an entrepreneur, has her great podcast on She Thrives blog, and many others. We have a lot of sponsors, including Empowered by Iron, and there's going to be tons of goodies, tons of food, and lots of friends that are going to make this really, really special and hopefully create a stronger network of women to collaborate and thrive. You can buy tickets at www.fearherfight.com under the tab Women's Strength Summit, and tickets are $85. And though the proceeds for that will go to the Pierce County Sexual Assault Center, and part of the fee for brown paper tickets go to any charity of your choice.
I would love, so one of the questions that you sent that I would love to chat, if we have just a couple more minutes about.
We have so much time.
Yeah. So you asked the question about what we know now that we wished we had known when we started. And I have been thinking a lot about that. And there's a lot of things, right? Where I am now and where I started seem as far apart as they could possibly be. But when I started and throughout most of this journey, the approach was very much about me, right? Trying to work on my self-esteem and trying to work on my confidence and getting my eating under control. And I think I spent a lot of time thinking about me. And I think there's, the world of fitness is so much bigger and broader than us ourselves, right? And so we now, through Smart Fit Girls, right, and through just my own interests, have started to really think critically about how do we take that newfound confidence, right, and owning our voice and take it outside of ourselves and do something with it. And that looks a lot of different ways. And it shows up in terms of Smart Fit Girls in thinking about how do we make our programming more inclusive, right? Or how do we adapt our program so that, for example, girls of color see lessons in there that reflect their own unique challenges around body image, because it may look very different than what we have in there, but we don't know that until we ask. And so, we have, as of recently, and I feel very proud of our organization for taking some steps to think about how do we intentionally seek out input and the voices of people who aren't often represented in this world of fitness. So
I completely agree. We've not to the level of what you guys are doing at all, but when we first started, we had a couple women on who no following, no nothing, and no one knew who they were, but their stories were so powerful. They were probably some of the most impactful stories that we've ever had on the podcast. Yeah. But you're totally right. Kellie, do you have anything? Same question?
Oh gosh, what would I do different? Yeah, there's a lot of like business stuff I wish I would have known.
Oh yeah.
Like how awesome Zoom is. Now we know, right?
Yeah.
Played around with a few different types. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think that's probably the systematically, that's the biggest thing. I think right, wrong, or indifferent, Chrissy and I came in with our very narrow view of what it meant to improve a young girl's life. And then as we started to talk to people and realize that there's so much more we could be doing, I think that's where we're going next. And we're doing it very methodologically. That's a word.
Yes.
So the one thing that happens with programs, and this is the researcher in me, is that people throw out programs, they say it works, and they don't have data to show it.
Yep.
That's different about us is that we have a lot of data to show that it works in primarily white girls. The next step is to figure out how to modify the program, potentially, right? We don't know. Yeah. We'll figure it out in the next year or so, right, in a way that's going to be super impactful for girls of very different backgrounds, right? Not just African-American girls, but Latina girls, Asian girls, just kind of really exploring that, and then applying for NIH funding one day and implementing that in a grand scale and really understanding it. And I think that's where, I don't know if we had the capacity to study it differently in the beginning. I think there's always that to look back at, but I definitely think the intent could have been a little bit more inclusive from the beginning. And that's something that I think I really love about Chrissy. I always learn that from her. And she's done a great job for me to open my eyes on that as well. So now I can't see the world like that. That's all I see is like, oh, couldn't we do this differently?
Well, but I think that's kind of the evolution of what it sounds like all four of us have gone through. Like when, you started your lifting and focusing on nutrition or whatever, and it was all about you. And then suddenly you became, wait, how can I make this be about other people? And then you just kind of start with what and that's how Empowered by Iron came about, was like, how can we help people? And it was like helping like-minded people, right? Like people like us. And then you're like, well, wait a minute, but like, who else can I help? And who, and I think that's just the evolution of it, is that you're like constantly looking to see who, you can have this impact on this group, and how can you expand that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, there's a train, like I could throw a baseball.
And that's the buzzer.
and not being afraid to like ask questions. And I think that, starting this up, I was always afraid, because the second you ask questions, especially with nutrition, you don't know anything, and then that's it. But that's something that definitely Janae, when we had her on, she opened my eyes. I had so many questions for her, and I was so afraid to ask them. But it's very important, like you said, to just ask the dang question. What can we do to help you? And I think people are so surprised by the answers. And
I think, it even goes one step beyond, what can we do to help you? What can we do to learn from you?
That totally.
Because I think sometimes, and especially, right, researchers are infamous for this, right? Like the ivory tower, we're going to come in and we're going to help you and we're going to, fix what's wrong. Yep. And that's so not the way to go about it, right? We have to take such a humble approach when we are working with communities, right? Because that community is the expert in their own lives. They know their barriers, their challenges, their successes, their strengths much better than we do. And so that's our responsibility, to go in with this mindset of really wanting to learn and understand, and needing to, in order to ever provide anything that would be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
That's so important. It is. It really is. I think just to learn what we can learn about other cultures, learn about people that are different from us, and how we can reach them, and they can teach us and grow our lives.
The one thing that's constant in girls is that they're given messages that they should be different.
Yes.
And that actually that's true in boys, but because we're Smart Fit girls, we're going to talk about this right now.
Yeah.
So, so I think that's what we want to explore now. And to Chrissy's point, the best way to do that is to do so in a way that makes them the community an active part of the exploration process and research process. So if you interview us in a few years, we're going to have a lot more to say about different things. So
we will. We're so happy that we finally got this to work out. We're so happy that you are here. Where can our listeners find you? Your social medias, your websites, if you have personal accounts that you want to share, and where can they sign up for this event that's happening in Colorado?
Yeah, so we empowerlifting.org is the website. And actually, I'm competing. It's my first one there, so I'm excited. So
you decided that instead of just competing at anyone else's event, you're going to throw on your own.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So it's a really great process. And the people who are competing in our event are the athletes that are competing in our event. We're actually asking them to set up CrowdRise's page and like commit to raising X amount of dollars. So everyone can decide. It might be $50 they want to raise for Smart Fit Girls. It might be $1,000. It might be $3,000. Just depends on the person's social network. But I know we still have a few spots left. And it's a really great first meet to compete in. I mean, you're going to have some pretty badass like power lifters there that you can like meet, you know? And I feel a little spoiled because I've had like, you know, Natalie and Leanna like looking at my squat and like showing me my deadlift. I'm like, oh, that's so helpful. I would have never thought about this. I'm like, free advice. Thank you. But they could definitely check out that website, empowerlifting.org. And it has the link to both events because there's a Friday night event as well as a Saturday event. Athletes get both in for free, but there's a lot of people who will be coming who maybe aren't competing, but they want to go to that Friday night event. And so they can sign up for that as well there.
And for everyone listening, as normal, this is all linked below. So just scroll down, click, and go.
We have a website, smartfitgirls.org. That's our actual organization website. Our event website is empowerlifting.org. Our Instagram handle is smartfitgirls. You can find us. Our Facebook handle is smartfitgirls Inc. True story. We started as Smart Fit Girls, forgot the password, couldn't figure out how to get back in. So now to live somewhere.
That's fantastic.
And it's not set up. There's like nothing there. So maybe that's what I would change if I were to go back.
Keep track of your passwords.
Right. And we do. We like try. And then
that mistake. We've all made that mistake.
Right. And then email smartfitgirls@gmail.com. Anything else you can think of, Chrissy?
No, any way you want to reach us, we are out there.
Well, if you listening have any questions or you want to reach out to Smart Fit Girls, or so you still do Smart Fit Chicks, do you still work with women?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, you're so busy. If anyone is interested in potentially working with them, reach out to them. smartfitgirls@gmail.com. Follow on Instagram, like you said. Anything else, ladies? This has been amazing.
Yeah, we're still looking for volunteers for the event.
Oh, that's right.
So if you're a judge, if you want to spot and load, if you want to sit at a table, if you whatever skill you might have, I am certain we could put it to use.
Is this a USAPL sanctioned event?
It's not sanctioned.
It's not sanctioned. Okay. So you could be a judge or a referee with any background.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Fort Collins is a pretty cool town. So if you're wanting to do like something when I was running, I think I still run. I don't know. But when I was running and I would go to different areas. So like I went to New York to run my first marathon, and that was because it was like a fun thing. You get to go in the city, you get to travel. It's like a little vacation. So trying to think the same way. Summertime or late or early fall in Fort Collins is beautiful. There's a lot of great breweries and things to do in Denver, and that whole area is great.
Well, in Fort Collins we call it Fort Fun because of the college there. But there's a lot of downtown things to do. So it's not just a great place to lift, but it's a great place to eat and drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lots of good eating.
Lots of good eating. All right. Well, you guys, like I said, go follow them on all their social medias. Everything that they mentioned will be linked below, and sign up for your first powerlifting meet or your third or your seventh, whatever. Go to this thing. And if not, volunteer. Support these causes, because that's how we as women, as communities grow. This is how we get these messages out there, is by supporting one another. So thank you so much for coming on and dealing with the rescheduling and all of the nonsense, but we loved having you.
Thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate you having us.